I'm going to record. So we will be going into the next session of the human person, that is actually on freedom. What is freedom? First point, I want you by all means to know this speech of the chief of Seattle. That is, we are totally independent on each other. There is an intimate, close relationship between us and the environment. Sadly, we have not been paying attention to that, and that is one of the reasons why COVID has spread. We have been encroaching on the habitat of bats and this virus. We have been using every piece of land available to us for our own selfish, greedy purposes. That is why they say the virus has encroached on us. So please read this. That destiny given to the white man is a mystery to us. For we do not understand when wild buffaloes are all slaughtered by the white men. We don't understand. We don't even understand when wild horses are tamed. The secret corners of the forest heavy with the scents of many men, and the view of the ripe hills blotted by talking wires. All these technological, the wires and the antennas, we don't understand. Where is the thicket, the forest? Gone. The white man has eliminated them. Where are the eagles? Gone. The white men have killed most of them or chased them out. The end of living and the beginning of survival. At this level, we are totally interdependent. We are dependent on each other. Still, there is some freedom that we can talk about, freedom and liberty. What is freedom? Is not doing what I want to do. Freedom is not even doing what I want to do as long as no one gets hurt. Freedom. Sartre would define human beings as freedom. Of course, there are so many ways we can deceive ourselves. We can live in a state of illusion. For Sartre, freedom would say, I want to say no, no to myself, no to the other. For Paul Ricoeur, freedom is saying yes to the involuntary. The involuntary aspects of our life, breathing, digestion, these are involuntary aspects of my body. There are also so many involuntary aspects in my own life, that which is given to me. For example, my parents, my culture, the time of my birth, the economical status of my family, all these are given to me. I cannot just say no to them. I need to accept the limitations and say yes to what is given to me. So when I acknowledge the limitations, if I am born in a very poor family, yes, my early childhood has been damaged or affected. I can say yes to them and try to change them. That is what freedom. Basically, freedom is when I am in control of my own actions. When I am deep down in control of my own actions. Okay, to sum up, we have an appetite, a desire, a drive, then a faculty. The physical faculties are, the 5 organs, the instruments of seeing, touching, hearing, and everything. Like the physical organs, we have also 2 spiritual organs or faculties, the intellect and the will. And then from the intellect, we have the intellectual dynamism of Maréchal. We are trying to be open at the intellectual level to the unlimited truth, unlimited existence. Similarly, at the level of the will, desire, we are open to the unlimited goodness, the unlimited beauty that is God. So there is a volitional dynamism similar to the intellectual dynamism we saw. In all our actions, when we praise someone, when we blame someone, we assume that she has done the act freely. If she has come first in the class, that implies that she has worked hard and she is responsible for her own actions and she has come first in the class. So when I blame someone for not doing sufficiently well, that also implies that the person was responsible and had acted freely. Then against freedom, there are two thinkers. I want you to know these two thinkers. One is Freud, the other one is Skinner. Freud would say everything that we do flows out of our powerful sexual drive, our libido. So we can keep on suppressing our libido for some time, but somehow or other, this libido will come out of it. Therefore, we are psychologically determined. That is what Freud would say. Skinner, on the other hand, would say we are sociologically determined. His book, The Walden 2, the original book Walden is written by Rousseau. I had said it in the PowerPoint. So he said, by giving positive and negative reinforcements, rewards and punishments, reinforcements could be rewards and punishment, you can channelize a society to behave in the way that you like. So both these thinkers would say human beings deep down are not free. Our response is, even when we say that we are not free, we are behaving and believing as if we are free. That argument from Asif. When I tell you that you are free and believe in it, then I am actually, even when I say you are not free, I am assuming that you can change your mind freely. So this is the Asif argument. Then the praise and the blame argument also for free. So Asif and praise and blame, that is why we would say, yes, our freedom is very, very limited. Our freedom is very, very limited, but we are still free. If we are not really free, then our dignity is at stake, then our worth is at stake. We can also talk about freedom from everything that enslaves us, from illiteracy, from sickness, poverty, freedom for my own self-realization, to have mastery over my own life. That is the freedom for. One very important concept here is conditioned or determined. Freud and others would say we are determined. That means the external world is so oppressive on us that we cannot get out. The world outside, the society determines us. We would say, no, the society does not determine our freedom. The society conditions our freedom. Condition means it shapes us, influences us, it changes us. But if we really want, we can change it. So we are conditioned. Our freedom is conditioned. That means if we really, really want, we can get out of that condition, that limitation. Determined is what Freud and Skinner would say. Even Calvin, the Protestant reformer, would say our destiny, life in heaven or hell, is determined by God. There is a theological determination. The moment you are born, God has already predestined you to go to heaven or to go to hell. Catholics, of course, don't believe in that. So we may be psychologically determined by according to Freud, sociologically determined according by Skinner, or theologically determined according to John Calvin. So we would say our position is no, our freedom is not determined by outside influences. Our freedom is curtailed, is conditioned. But if we really struggle, we can get out of it. Viktor Frankl again, the last and greatest freedom that we have is the freedom to make meaning even in our struggles and difficulties. And Paul Ricoeur again would say, the grandeur of human freedom, no more, no less, is to say yes to the involuntary aspects of our life. The grandeur of human freedom is to say yes to the given aspects of my life. Maybe my parents were poor. Maybe my parents maltreated me. All those things leave a mark on me. But I can work on them and I can actually grow out of it. Therefore, finally, we need to foster a union that unites, that brings us together. Unlike the identity politics that many of us are striving, we need a freedom that builds communities, builds bridges, not that isolates and proclaims the politics of identity. Now, this actualization, dear friends, is something very important. It is easy and you can use it in your personal life also when you are with your students. This I want you to know. The pyramid of human needs, the hierarchy of human needs. First, the physiological needs about food, drink, and everything. Then the safety needs, the love, belongingness, esteem needs. At what level are we in? Cognitive needs, there is in each one of us the need to know. This is the level of philosophy thinking. Then there is the aesthetic needs, beauty, art, to find harmony, nature, balance, order. Then finally, the need for self-actualization, when I become truly authentic. It is at this stage that we move beyond all kinds of alienation. When I am self-actualized, then I have no more alienation. At that level, I am not even afraid of my death. I can embrace death lovingly. I am fully at home with myself. Full potential, becoming everything one is capable of becoming. So this is the hierarchy of needs. And then Maslow, we said, is a positive psychologist. Unlike Freud and many others who find only problems and paranoid in everyone, Maslow spoke about the positive aspects of human beings. Therefore, self-actualization is a real reason for human existence. And Maslow's basic principles, you read it by yourself. The normal personality is characterized by integration, unity, consistency, and coherence. Organization is the natural state, and disorganization, chaos, or panic is the unnatural state. The organism can be analyzed by differentiating its part, but no part can be studied in isolation. The functioning of the hand should be studied in terms of the rest of the human being. So is the human beings with the family, with the community. Human being is basically good. That is what the Bible also says. It is in this context that we talk about the self-actualization, growing in its own self, the self-actualization. Character, behavior leading to self-actualization. Don't pretend, don't fake, be honest. Be prepared to be unpopular if your views do not coincide with the majority. So majoritarianism is not the answer. Take responsibility for what you are. Work hard even when you fail. Identify your defense mechanisms and have the courage to admit your defense mechanism, your pretense, your kind of lying and everything. Characteristics of self-actualized people. Dear friends, go through this and in your own life, try to be a self-actualized person. Try to be a authentic person. Try to be someone who is full of love. A, not just a loving person, but the person who becomes love, becomes love. So, characteristics of a self-actualized people. They perceive reality efficiently and can tolerate uncertainty. Accept themselves and others for what they are. They are spontaneous in thinking and in action. They are problem-centered, not self-centered. So when someone criticizes me, I'm not worried about the offense against me, but what is the problem that I have created? How can I solve that problem? They have an unusual sense of humor. They look at life objectively. They are creative people. They resist enculturation, not inculturation. Means they don't want the culture to contain you, to suffocate you. They are concerned for the welfare of the whole human family. Vasudeva Kudumbakam. They are capable of deep appreciation of basic life experience. They establish deep, satisfying interpersonal relationships with a few people. Now they have healthy interpersonal relationships. They have peak experiences. There is a need for privacy. They have democratic attitudes, strong moral and ethical standards. That is what this. These are the characteristics of a self-actualized people. Now, this part, love or self-actualization. I'm just sorry for 1 minute. There's a phone call coming to me. Let me see who it is. This characteristics of a self-actualized people is very important, but I am not going to say it because in one of the earlier classes I had already said it and it is recorded. Therefore, I am not going to say anything about it. The characteristics, but it's very, very important. Love as abandonment opposed to appropriation. This is the temptation for us. You know, all of us are basically good people. We have come after sacrificing so many things in life, but still we fail. That is because we have not consciously and unconsciously given up everything. We still want to amass wealth, appreciation, praise from others. We want to be acknowledged. We want to be praised. So, one good thing about us religious is we are not so much involved with money, because for most people outside, what really matters is how much money you have, your bank balance. At least that is one kind of freedom religious people have. But still, we want to hold on to other things. The enchantment of love, that's also something very, very beautiful. Please read through it. I have already done it, and the video is in one of the week's presentations. See, my request is please go through the video which I have uploaded. It will take some time, but it will be worth it. You will be able to understand it much better. Like earlier we said, our body-soul relationship should be holistic one, not a dualistic one like Plato. We should say love is also holistic. Love is not just animalism. Animalism would mean your love is reduced to the body, to the sex alone. Angelism means your love is reduced only at that ideal level, Plato's love. The genuine love is not Platonic, not idealism, nor is it animalism. Love only for the sake of sex alone. So that would be about freedom, and that is the end of this session. I am